Endocrine system physiology involves the production and secretion of hormones by endocrine glands that regulate various body functions, including growth, metabolism, reproduction, and overall body balance. This system works by sending chemical signals, hormones, to the appropriate organs and tissues to regulate various physiological processes. 1. Structure and function of the endocrine system. The endocrine system consists of various glands that produce hormones. These hormones are then released into the bloodstream and affect target organs or tissues that have receptors for the hormones. A. Main endocrine glands. Some of the main endocrine glands in the body are 1. Hypothalamus, located in the brain and functions to regulate hormone secretion by the pituitary gland. The hypothalamus also regulates the body's homeostasis by regulating body temperature, hunger, thirst, and sleep-wake cycles. 2. Pituitary gland, also known as the master gland, because it controls many other endocrine glands. The pituitary gland consists of two parts, namely, an anterior pituitary, front, produces hormones such as B growth hormone, GH, stimulates body growth. In the pituitary gland there are also various glands, namely, prolactin, PRL, namely, regulates breast milk production in women. TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, namely, stimulates the thyroid gland to produce thyroid hormone. ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, namely, stimulates the adrenal glands to produce cortisol. FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, and LH, luteinizing hormone, namely, regulates the function of the ovaries and testes in reproduction. Posterior pituitary, rear, namely, stores and releases hormones produced by the hypothalamus, such as oxytocin, namely, regulates uterine contractions during labor and the release of breast milk. Vasopressin, antidiuretic hormone, ADH, namely, regulates water balance in the body by increasing water reabsorption in the kidneys. 3. Thyroid gland, namely, a gland located in the neck and produces thyroid hormones, namely, athyroxine, T4, and triiodothyronine, T3, which regulates body metabolism, body temperature, and growth. B. Calcitonin, which regulates calcium levels in the blood by reducing calcium levels through its effect on bones and kidneys. 4. Parathyroid gland, which is located behind the thyroid gland, secretes parathormone, PTH, which regulates calcium and phosphate levels in the blood by increasing calcium levels. 5. Adrenal gland, which is located above the kidneys and consists of two parts, namely, an adrenal cortex, which produces steroid hormones, including B cortisol, which regulates body metabolism, stress response, and blood glucose regulation. In the adrenal cortex there is also aldosterone, namely, which regulates the balance of sodium and potassium in the body. Androgen, namely, sex hormones that play a role in secondary sex characteristics. Adrenal medulla, which produces the hormones adrenaline, epinephrine, and noradrenaline, norepinephrine, which are involved in the stress response and fight or flight. 6. Pancreas is an endocrine and exocrine gland that functions in regulating blood glucose by producing two main hormones, namely, insulin, which reduces blood glucose levels by facilitating the uptake of glucose by body cells. B. Glucagon, which increases blood glucose levels by stimulating the liver to release glucose. 7. Gonads, ovaries and testes, namely, sex glands that produce sex hormones. The ovaries produce the hormones estrogen and progesterone, which regulate the menstrual cycle, pregnancy, and female sexual development. The testes produce testosterone, which regulates the development of male sex characteristics and spermatogenesis. 8. Pineal gland, located in the brain, produces the hormone melatonin, which regulates the sleep-wake cycle and circadian rhythm. 2. Function of hormones in the body. Hormones are molecules that are secreted into the blood and function to regulate various physiological processes. Hormones work by binding to receptors on target cells, which trigger certain responses in the cells. Based on their type, hormones can be divided into several main groups, namely, peptide hormones. This hormone consists of a chain of amino acids and works by binding to receptors on the cell surface because it cannot penetrate the cell membrane. Examples of peptide hormones are insulin, which regulates glucose metabolism, prolactin, which regulates breast milk production, FSH and LH, regulate reproductive function. B. Steroid hormones. These hormones are made from cholesterol and can cross cell membranes to bind to receptors in the cell nucleus. Examples of steroid hormones are cortisol, regulates stress responses and body metabolism. Testosterone and estrogen, regulate sexual development and reproduction. C. Amino acid hormones. These hormones come from amino acids and function to regulate body processes, for example, thyroxine, T4, and triiodothyronine, T3, which regulate metabolism. Adrenaline, epinephrine, which regulates the body's response to stress. 3. Hormone regulation. Hormones are usually regulated through negative or positive feedback to maintain body balance, namely, a negative feedback, which is the most common mechanism, where increasing levels of certain hormones will inhibit further hormone secretion. For example, when blood glucose levels increase after eating. The pancreas will release insulin to lower blood glucose levels, and insulin secretion will stop when blood glucose levels return to normal. B. Positive feedback, which occurs when increasing hormone levels cause more hormone secretion. For example, during labor, oxytocin stimulates uterine contractions, which stimulates more oxytocin release. Until labor occurs. 4. Effect of hormones on the body, a growth and development. Namely, hormones such as GH, growth hormone, regulate body growth. Thyroid hormones, T3 and T4, are also important for the development of the nervous system and metabolism. B. Metabolism, namely, hormones such as insulin and glucagon regulate blood glucose levels, while cortisol regulates protein, fat, and carbohydrate metabolism. C. Reproduction, namely, sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, regulate sexual development and reproductive function. These hormones also regulate the menstrual cycle in women. Other influences, namely, response to stress. Hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol help the body respond to physical and emotional stress by increasing heart rate, widening airways, and providing extra energy. Water and electrolyte balance. Hormones such as aldosterone and ADH, vasopressin, regulate the body's fluid and electrolyte balance by regulating the reabsorption of sodium and water in the kidneys. 5. Disorders of the endocrine system. Several endocrine disorders can occur if there is a deficiency or excess of certain hormones, a diabetes mellitus, caused by a lack of insulin or the body's inability to respond properly to insulin, leading to high blood glucose levels. B. Hypothyroidism. The thyroid gland produces insufficient thyroid hormone, causing a decrease in the body's metabolism. C. Hyperthyroidism. Excess thyroid hormone that causes the body's metabolism to become very fast. D. Cushing's syndrome, due to excess cortisol production, which causes weight gain, high blood pressure, and high blood sugar levels. E. Addison's syndrome, deficiency of adrenal hormones, which causes fatigue, loss of appetite, and decreased blood pressure. 6. Conclusion. The endocrine system plays an important role in regulating various physiological processes in the body through the secretion of hormones. Hormones produced by endocrine glands affect nearly every aspect of the body, including growth, metabolism, reproduction, and response to stress. Proper hormone regulation is essential for maintaining the body's homeostasis, and disruptions in the endocrine system can lead to a variety of diseases and medical conditions.